Hello, hopefully all of you are doing good. Now in the previous video we have seen how to create a file uploader in Plotly dash app, right, in our ResNet 50. So we uploaded some files over there and then we classify over there, right? Now let us continue. Probably I think that video I have said like we will work on create a file downloader as well, but we will park it for after some videos. I wanted to discuss something more important as well, and I wanted to build something more important as well. So let us go back to our fundamentals page where we were discussing about how a neural network learns, right? So if I just recap whatever we have done it over there is we created a training set distribution and testing set distribution for the MNIST dataset, right? And we also created a functionality where if we click somewhere in the pie chart, right, so it will randomly select from that digit. If you see it over here, it was showing level as 6, right? So it will choose a randomly image from this all the image sets for MNIST for the number 6, and then it will display over here, right? Now over here, if you would have seen there, right, so we have another step 2. So we have visualized the MNIST dataset. Now we want to discuss more related to the model trainings and all, right? So this is where the concept of neural networks comes into picture. And now if we just think about neural network and if we just search in Google, right, so we have seen this kind of images many times, right? And the heart of this system is an artificial neuron over here, as you can see it, right? So from this picture, if you see it, like these are all the inputs layer where we will input our data, and these are all the outputs layer where we will generate the output from the network. Now in between whatever you have seen it is all the different hidden layers, we call it, right? And they are built by a neurons over there. Now what I am planning to do over here is, let me show you what I am planning to create over here. So this is the one we will be creating. So we will discuss first about the single neuron. Then we will talk about how to connect this single neuron to build a neural network over there, right? Now as you can see it, like to build a single neuron, you need to understand a lot of things. So first of all, we need to understand what is activation function is. So I think I have in my second channel, I have another channel called Splunk and Machine Learning. Over there is a deep learning playlist. Now there is a video called Intuition Behind Neural Networks and its Architecture. I have fully discussed over there this particular concept. Okay, probably I will touch base some of the points over there. I will give this particular link in my video description as well, so that we can refer it. But let us try to see what I am planning to build. Over here, if you see it, like we have a lot of activation functions, right? And here this portion we have inputs. Now if we run it, it should create a graph of this activation function. Also it should display basically the equation for that particular activation function. Okay, if you see, like over here we are displaying the mathematical equation in Plotly dash app as well, and here at the right hand portion of it we will try to display a utility for this one. So let's say if I just change the value of x1 as 4, x2 as 4 and x3 as 6 and click on run. Okay, so these are the inputs layers. It is representing this green boxes, right? And this B for bias over there, right? So if I just do that, correspondingly it will change the input, and based on activation function selected, it will change the output as well over here according to that. Okay, so we will build this particular utility so that we can visualize what's going on in a single neuron. Then it will be much more easier to visualize what it will go on for a neural network over there. Okay, so this is the stuff we will build first. while building we will try to discuss some of the details of related to the single neuron as well, but let us first try to concentrate on building on this one, then we will try to understand what's going on over there. Okay, so for that what I will do is we will start with the code base we left from the previous video. Okay, then we will build upon that. So if you remember, all the codes related to this how neural network learns this particular page is on this particular file, right? How neural network learns this particular file under pages, right? Now over there, as we can see it, right, we have created an accordion panel using dash bootstrap component. If I just show you, this is the one, right? So we have 3 different accordion item as of now, right? One for visualizing the MNIST dataset, then training, and then the testing part. So we already done some more coding for the visualization dataset, as I was showing up that pie charts and all, right? So this is this particular code base under this particular callback, right, where we are basically updating based on the accordion which one is selected. Based on that we are basically displaying their outputs over here, right? Now this is for the MNIST training dataset, visualizing the MNIST dataset. Now this is for the training MNIST dataset, right? So this is belongs to the second accordion panel over here. Now as you can see it, like whenever we are opening that this particular page, automatically this guy, the step 1 is getting opened over here, right? Which we may not want, because now we are developing the step 2 over here as well. So let's do a simple change over here. Let me show you that one as well. So if I just go to dash bootstrap component accordion panel, so there is a property over here called start collapsed equals to, if we just set to true, all items will be collapsed initially. So let us first do this one. So we'll go over here, and for the accordion item, right, so this is my accordion over here. So what I will do is I will say start collapse equals to true over here. So once we do that, let us see how it getting affected. See, as you can see now, as expected, all the panels are collapsed now. So this is good thing. Now we want to build on this one over here, this model training, right? So this code is getting populated from this particular callback over here, right? So this is the content for the model training. That is what it is showing up over here as well, right? So now, as I was showing it before, what we wanted to develop, so I just took a screenshot of that. So the first thing is, if you see, there is a row over here, right, and it has this chips over here. So how to build this? Now there is a, I think we are already aware about this dash code component, HTML component, bootstrap component as well, right? Now there are a lot of dash community component as well. One of them I really like very much is the dash maintain components. It's purely developed on React maintain components. So it also has a very good collection of different components and inputs as well. Probably you can try this one as well. One of them is the chips over here. So let me try to find out. So this is the chip component over here. Now it's very easy to create. Now to use dash maintain component, what you need to do is you need to basically first install it, pip install dash maintain components. I have already done that, so I am not doing that again. But what I have done it over here is I have to do one thing over here is I need to include this dash maintain component in my requirement.txt, so that whenever somebody else is installing this particular app, right, so it will also get installed over here. Okay, so once we have installed the dash maintain components, I'll go to this page. First of all, we need to import that, right? So let us import that according to this documentation. So import dash maintain components as DMC over here. So I will import that. Now this is how we create a chip group. If you see it, very simple. Like here it is just looping through this strings over here, this list over here, and creating the chip using the dmc.chip, right? So that is what we will be doing it as well. So let us copy that. Now I'll go over here, I'll go to the same callback we are using for creating the different accordion panel item content over here, right? So first we'll always start with HTML div children equals to, so here in this div we will paste a DMC chip group over here, right? Now as we can see it over here, currently it has only two values, single neuron and neural network. So let us give that single neuron and then neural network over here, right? I'll just delete the other stuff here. Now its value is also setting the same value over here. So let us have the single neuron by default selected over here. Okay, so if we just see it now, once our app is getting refreshed, so it should create that particular chip group over here, as you can see it over here, right? It has, so you can individually click on it and then you can select it over here, right? Now based on selection, based on what chip we have selected over here, right, we need to display certain content over here, just like this one. Once we have selected the single neuron, all of this I need to display it over here, right? We will see what we will display when we will be selecting the neural network here, right? As of now, let us concentrate on how to display these guys once selected the single neuron. So for that, what we will do is, so let us try to create a container over here, and then we will place this chip in a row and another div in a second row, and we will dynamically modify that second div based on the selection. So we will be using dbc.container over here, right? Children equals to this. Now once we created the container, we can create the row and columns over here, right? So for now we just need row. In the first row we will be having this chip group right here, and in the second row we will be basically dbc.row children equals to, in this row we will maintain a div, and this particular div content we will be dynamically updating based on whatever value I am selecting, whatever chip value I am selecting over here. Okay, so that will be another callback we have to write it now. So let us give an ID over here for this particular div. Let's say I'll just give ID called training chips content over here. Okay, so currently this div will not be visible because I have not added anything over here. So now let us work on a callback which will update this particular div based on the selection of this particular chip over here. And also let us make this container fluid as well, so that it will take up the space. Fluid equals to true over here. Okay, so now let us create another callback. I'll just copy the, okay, let us try to give a note over here, some comment over here. It's always good practice to maintain some comment. Like this is the callback, this is the callback to update the accordion panel items, right? Accordion panel items content. So this is the one. Now in the below, there is, so this is for the pie charts, right? So this callback was for the, not the pie chart, it is for the drill downs, callback for drill down here. Okay, and we don't have any other callback, so let us try to copy this signature over here. Okay, now for our case, so let us do one thing. We can just minimize the other callbacks content over here. Now for our case, the input will be this chip group, whatever the chip group selected value, and the output will be this particular div children. Now to access this chip group value, we need an ID over here. So let us give training chip group over here. Okay, so for our case, the input will be this training chip group value over here, right? And the output will be this particular div training chip. So let us remove this. So we have a single input. We do not need an array of inputs over here as well. Okay, and let us keep a single output as well over here. Now, so this is the training chip content children over here. Now prevent initial callback equals to true was there for other callbacks, because we do not want to run the callback whenever this particular page loads. But in this case, as our single neuron is automatically selected, right? That's why we have given this value in the chip group, right? So you wanted to run this particular callback initially as well. So that's why let us remove this one. Now let us define a function over here, render chip group item content. Okay, so what it will be taking up, so let us create the skeleton first. So it will basically take up the selected chip, right? So in this case, selected chip will be having the value called single neuron over here, right? So that means if I just write if selected chip double equals to single neuron, I will return something. Basically I will create a div content. So let's have this one, chips div content. Let's create a variable over here. We will basically modify this particular div content, and then we will see that. First of all, let us create this particular skeleton first. Okay, else if selected chip double equals to neural network, right? So currently we have two chips only over here. Then also we will try to modify these guys over here as well. We will try to modify with some other values over here, and then ultimately we will return this div content over here as well, right? So this is the overall strategy we will be taking it over here. Now we are currently working on only the single neuron part, right? So let us try to modify that. Let us try to see first this particular image, right? So currently we are working on creating on this guy over here. As you can see it from the diagram itself, it basically shows us it has a single row with 3 columns over here. The first column shows a checkbox, sorry, a radio items, a list of radio items over here, right? And then it shows a different text boxes attached to each other, like the x1 value and its weight value, x2 value and its weight value, something like that. Then we have a button over here. In the second column, the first one is basically showing up the mathematical equation for the activation function it has chosen, and then the graph of it. And the third one is basically showing up the whole neuron over here. And these two guys, these two columns should show their values only when I am clicking the run. So if I just change something over here and don't click on the run, it will not reflect it over here, right? It will reflect only when the run button has been clicked over here. So there is a callback over here as well. We need to remember this, right? So now let us try to build this structure first. So we will start with this very similar way, right? We will first start with a div, html.div over here, children. Now, as I said, it will be a single row, then 3 columns over here. That means I need to create a container over here using dbc dot container over here, right? So let's do that. Children. Now inside the container I will be creating a single row, right? That means dbc dot row over here. Let's create the children of that row, right? Now inside the row I will be having 3 columns over here, as you can see it here, right? So let us create those columns over here. dbc dot call, right? Now children equals to this is the first column. I will just copy this 3 columns here now, right? So these are my 3 columns inside the row. The first column will hold those input values, the second column will hold that mathematical equation and the graph, and the third column will hold the actual neuron, right? That's another important thing in Plotly Dash we will discuss over there, but because there are a lot of components involved over there, right? So we'll go very slowly here. Now let us try to give the width of those columns as well. So let's say, because this one will not take much space, I'll give 2 for this one, 4 for this one, and this will take more space, so 6 for this one, because at the maximum we can give it, maximum we can distribute as 12 over there, right? As we have discussed it before. So width equals to 2, so width equals to 4, and then width equals to 6 over here, right? Now let us work on the first column content here. So let me put a enter there. Now another thing is this columns, as we can see in these pictures over here, they are centrally aligned as well, right? So let us try to give this one. So for the row, right, for the row children, so the justify property should be center. So this determines how those items will be horizontally aligned, and there is a align property as well over here, which should be centered as well. It will basically vertically align those items at the center, as you can see it over here, right? So this is done. Now to create this radio items, we can simply use the dash bootstrap component radio items. So let us go back to the documentation. So if you go to inputs component, input component for the dash bootstrap, right? So there is a lot of example for different inputs. One of them would be the radio items. So let us copy a code over here for some of it. So there would be a label, right? Choose one, and then it will be the group of radio items over here, right? So let us copy this. Now one thing we need to remember over here from this picture is this, all these items needs to be stacked vertically over here as well inside a particular column, right? Now in this case, in dash maintain component, there is a component called stack. Let me see that. Okay, so what it does basically, it stacks the items vertically over here. Okay, now there are components for stacking the item horizontally as well. Okay, so probably I would suggest you to check all these components over here in the dash maintain components and see whether it fits your need or not. But this looks like a good fit over here, right? So let us first create a stack, then we will stack one by one. So let us create the stack now first, right? So now inside the stack, if you see, the items are aligned on center, and spacing we will give small over here. So the spacing we will keep it as small, and alignment we will keep it as left over here, as we have seen it over here. Okay, now this is the first element in this particular stack will be our checkbox. Sorry, I'm always saying checkbox, it should be radio items. So input groups I will be going, okay, yeah, so this is the one I want to copy it over here. So let us do that. So let us remove these guys here. The first item would be this one. Even if you want, we can just include that inside a div as well over here. Let us do that, it is always good practice. So inside that we will just copy these two guys over here. So that's the first thing. Right now what we need to do is, now we need to change the label. The label is something like choose activation. So I'll just rename this one to activation over here. And inside the radio items I have a lot of options over here, as you can see it, right? So first thing is the perceptron, second thing is sigmoid function, something like that. So let us do that. The first option would be perceptron. Let's keep its value as, because it's a step function, right? So that's why I'm keeping this value as step. Second is the sigmoid neuron, right? So I'll just keep its value as sigmoid. Now third thing is ReLU function, right? Let us see that ReLU function over here. So I'll just say sigmoid function over here, because we are talking about activation function. And then we will talk about the ReLU function. ReLU function, I will keep its value as ReLU over here. Its value as ReLU over here, and let us not disable it, right? And we also have a fourth level over here as well, called the tanh function, right? So if we just see it, so we have a tanh function over here. These are all the activation functions used in neural network, and basically in a particular neuron. Okay, so I'll just keep its value as tanh over here, right? So once we have done that, now the default value should be step, correct? So default value should be step. And let us give a meaningful idea of this one, because we need this one in our callback as well. Let's give this one here, activation radio items input over here. Okay, so that's our ID. So we created the first one. Let us see whether it has created it or not. So if I click on over here, so it has some errors. Let us see that. Okay, I think I mistakenly given wrong spelling over here for children. So let us see that. Yeah. REN over here. So let us save it and let us try to see it. So if I click on over here, so by default single neuron will be selected, right, and it has created this particular radio buttons as well, right, but it does not have any space in between them. So let us add some margin over here. Okay, if I just go back here, now two things I have noticed it over here. It is not taking the full space, right, so we may need to make this particular container fluid as well. So it is FLUID fluid equals to true, so it will take up that particular space. That's the first change. And the second change we have to do is, so this is the main div over here, right, which is basically displaying that item. Now here let us add some style. Okay, I'll just add some margin values over here. So I'll say margin colon 20 pixel. I think that should be enough. Let us try to save it and see it how it looks like now. So if I just click on over here now, you can see like now it has a little bit of space in between the chips and this one, and it is properly getting aligned over here as well. Now let us work on the other parts of this one, right? So now we have to create this input text boxes over here, and as you can see it, like this X1 and W1 text boxes are actually attached to each other. So this is how we can create it. If I just go to input group again in the dash bootstrap component, right, so there are a lot of examples over here, as you can see it, right, with certain label you can attach the text box over here as well, just like this one, right? So we can just do like this. We can basically create an input group and group the item input group text and the input item over here, the text box over here, something like this, and then give the class name MB3 over here. So let us copy this guy over here. So here this particular div has ended here, right? So now let's create this particular input group over here. So let me format it a bit. Now inside the input group text will be first will be X1, right? Placeholder I will not give over here. I will just give the ID of this input as X1 only, because we need to use this one in our callback later, right? And I will just give its value, default value, as 0 as well there. Okay, I'll just give its default value as 0 over there. Let me give the numeric 0 over here. Similarly, I will be creating the W1 as well here, right? So I'll just give a comma over here and paste this. Okay, let me copy this one here, both of these two, copy and paste this. So it will be W1, placeholder will not be there, ID will be W1, and default value will be 0. Let us see first how it looks like, then we can just copy paste for the other X2 and X3 as well, right? So let us try to see that. So if I click on this step 2 now, if you see, it has created two text boxes attached to each other, right, X1 and W1, and because I have given the column width as 2, so it is just keeping inside that one only, right? Let us try to create for the same as well for X2 and X3 as well. So I'll just quickly change X1 to X2 over here, and ID to X2, W1 to W2 over here, ID equals to W2, and this one would be X3, and then W3, ID will be similar, X3 and W3 over here. Save it, right? So if I just go back, we have created this one. Then we have to create for the bias as well a single text box Let us try to create that, then we will see it. We will use in the similar way, right? So here we will not be having the second text box over here, right? So let us remove that, and this input group text will be B, and the ID will be B as well over here, right? So let us see how it looks like now. So if I click on over here on the model training, so it has created all these text boxes over here, right? Now the next mission is to create this run button. So we can just, using the button of dash bootstrap component, we can just simple create a button over here. I'll just copy this one, okay, dbc.button. So I'll just come over here below the bias, so I will just have the button, and this one will be run, the button text will be run, and the rest of the things I think we can keep it as is over here. So it should be creating the button. So let us see it. So if I just select on the model training now, so it has created the button as well over here. So we are able to create the content of this first column over here, right? So let us stop over here. Let us continue on the next video. I do not want to make this particular video very long, right? So in the next video, we will talk about how to create the graph of it based on the activation function selected over here, as well as probably we will talk about how to create a basic equation as well in Plotly Dash. Okay. So hopefully this video was helpful. See you in the next video.